Hello everyone, this is Adeline here. One of our divas from across the pond had a question on Facebook page, so I am going to do a quick video on how to scan an image and create a cut file. After working through the wizard, I'm going to select Create New, click Next, and then the fabric today is not going to be important, so I'll just leave it at Embroidery Smooth for Cotton 2 with a white background and click Next. Then I am going to get the image from the scanner and I'm going to leave it at a jumbo hoop because I know it's going to fill the whole hoop. Click Next. Now it's looking for my scanner, and sometimes it takes a little while to find my scanner, so I'm hoping that it won't take quite that long while I'm recording this video. You'll notice though, one of the things that I want to point out is that I'm going to keep it at 100% for my image size. When it's ready to scan, as it says right down here, I'm going to click on the black and white because it's a black and white printout from the PDF file that I have posted on the Facebook page. Then I'm going to scan. Click Scan. And it's scanning it with a 200 DPI, which I found in my test that it seemed to be okay. So I'm just going to leave it and go with that. As you can see, I've already have a sample of my baby birdie 1. So this one I'm going to name birdie 2 and save it in my folder that I created in the DW Divas section. This time, rather than tracing it, I found in a test that it took way too long. So I'm just going to use Open as Backdrop and click Finish. And it pops up in the background. Today I'm going to teach you how to use the functions of drawing shapes with these different design tools. You'll see that there is a little black triangle in the corner here. When I click on it, a flyout menu comes out with freehand shapes, the first one. The Bezier Tool is the second one. Create Outline Tool is the third one. And then the last one is the Magic Wand Tool. Going to go with Bezier. Although I should show you what it looks like with freehand because it's difficult. So I'm going to use my mouse and scroll in. Kind of adjust the screen here. And then when I start to click and drag, it's not very straight. And that's because I have very little control with my mouse. I suppose if I had a tablet and a pen that I'd have better luck. But it's pretty sloppy, as you can see. And then I could use that, and then in the Edit Nodes function I could do some cleaning up, but it's not worth it. So I'm going to press the space bar and delete it. My shortcut for Bezier Tool right here is, if you can see, is Shift plus F5. And a lot of times I will use that. Once you learn how to use those shortcuts, you won't select the designs from the tool options. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here for the wing shape, and then I can drag it and click again and just keep clicking around this wing shape. This really is a basic design to work with and perfect for many of you to practice. Now I'm going to come down, and as it starts to curve, I'm just going to drag my mouse right along that line. And each time I put in a node, it's going to create a little square node for us to take a look at. So when I use my mouse and left click, each time I'm putting a node right on that line. Then when I meet up where I started, I click and I have a shape. To get that shape selected, I hit the space bar. Now let's take a look at this shape. We can tweak this a little bit here, but what we need to do is go into the second icon on the left and select Edit Shape Nodes. When I do that, I can now drag it out, straighten it out. You'll see the little direction of the arrows. Sometimes you want to tweak it either way. But I just reshape what I'm working with. If I want my direction to go that way, then I just pull the arrow in that direction. If I want it to go that way, see, I'm just dragging with my mouse. I love this reshape tool function. Smooths out everything. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that I only have a fill. I don't have an outline. And if I don't have an outline, there's no way I'm going to get a cutwork shape. So I have to create an outline to coordinate with my fill. Now let me get down here. I check this, and again, scrolling in to see. I try to get it as accurate as possible so that my shapes look like they should from the original pattern. Now I'm going to scroll down and see if I need to tweak any of these. And just kind of play around with it. It's actually not that hard once you get used to it. If you want, you can add a node by clicking here and right-clicking. And then you can either add a node or delete a node. Sometimes I do that if I think I need another node to get my line a little straighter. I need to scroll in to see what I'm doing. That's really important. So I use that scroll function with my mouse a lot. Now, once I think it's going to look okay, I want to hit the space bar, because once I select the space bar, it takes it out of edit and it brings into the select the shape. This is where I then go ahead and add an outline. So now I have an outline and a fill. Here's my fill, and since I have PaintWorks, remember it comes in as paint. Then I click on the outline and I have a line. So now what I want to do is I want to change that to a cutwork. You'll notice there's still a fill. So then what I do is I can go back here, take out the fill, and you'll look down here in the palettes and you see no more ink, only thread. Now the other thing that I do is I go into my Cutwork and I add a running before, and I usually do about 1.0, and then I zoom in, and if I notice that there are some unevenness in the stitching, like right here is a perfect example. See how that's uneven? Then I'll go back in my edit shape node and then I'll just play with that, and you can see how that arrow is. I want to straighten that arrow. I want to keep it round, and then I want to move this down, and as I play around with it, you can see how it's straightened out that running stitch that goes around it. That's how you can also tell if your design is going to be a smooth cutwork design or jagged. Here's another one down here. So now I'm just going to play with that a little bit and see what I can do to smooth that out. And that was really easy to do that. That's what I'm going to leave. I like the way it looks, even though that arrow is going in a totally different direction. These aren't too bad. I usually only pick the ones that are real sharp in contrast. This one I might tweak a little bit just because I like my top of my wing to be straight. So now I have my wing template, and when I see through the Cutwork, I notice that I have cut 1 is shown, which is going to be this one, and then cut 2 with a mirror image. So again, I hit my space bar so that I select the image, and then I go up to the toolbar right here in Tool Options, and I hit Duplicate. Then I click Mirror X, and now I have a mirror image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. Some more. Let's see. Drag this over, and I'm going to pull this off the top. And then I'm going to pull this one. So I have one as is from the scanned image, and the other one is a mirror image. So now I can do it in one of two ways. I can create another duplicate, and now I have the two that I need for the pattern, or I can just later on when I cut it out stack one on top of the other, which is mostly what I do. Now, one of the things that I want to point out is because you want to double check and see if this image actually is at 100%. I'm going to scroll in. I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit, and I'm going to use my measure tool. And when I measured it with a ruler, the distance from the top of the wing across right here, so when I click on this, from here to here, was 4.5, and that's pretty close. 4.55 is good enough for me. Then from here to here, it was 3¼ inches. And that one could be a little longer, but it just might be where I'm measuring. So then if I zoom in a little bit more, I try right on there and measure right down to the cut. It's pretty close. So that's one of the ways that you'll measure to see if your design is actually the size it is meant to be in the pattern. Now we have that part done, so now we're going to go to the birdie part. So I have to go back to my rectangle to select it and move some things around so you will be able to see what I'm doing. So now I'm going to zoom in, and again I'm going to select the Bezier tool, and I could shift plus F5 at the top of my computer, but I just click on it. So now I tweak this and just start setting my nodes for my birdie. And if I drag it, it'll round it out a little bit. Then I don't have to work so hard to clean it up after. I'll put a node there, click, left click. Let me scroll in so you can see what I'm doing. Left click right there, left click right there. Now I'm going to drag it down. Oops, you see what happens? It's putting in a curve. So let me go here first before it starts to curve. And it'll show you that the node directions. That's what those arrows are. Sometimes I'm not using the correct terminology according to the software, but that's okay. I understand, and hopefully you will as well. So now I'm just going to come around, left clicking using the Bezier tool, and then hopefully when I come up to the tail, this will be the right size. Left click, left click. And when you meet up with your first node, it will form your shape. Select the toolbar. Now, one of the things is I'd like to have these as two different designs. So I'm going to change my bird to a different color. I'm going to make them tangerine. So I just made them tangerine, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to add an outline, which I click in the upper left. Remember, the upper left, I scroll. If you can see right down here, the upper left is the outline or the pencil tool, and the lower right is the fill or the paint bucket tool. Now it's time to clean this up a bit. So I'm going to scroll in, and I'm going to just kind of move this around. And again, sometimes it's hard to tell if this is nice and smooth until you actually add that running stitch around it. And then I'm going to move this here. This is looking pretty good. Now, while I'm at it, I'm going to check the measurements of the bird. So this time I'm going to click on the measuring tool, which again, your shortcut is F9. And when I measured it on the paper, from the tip of his tail to the beak was almost 8 inches. So this one's a little off because right now it's 7¾ My practice one was spot on, so I don't know if I have this in the right spot or not. I think it was the way I measured it with my ruler. That's pretty close though. I think it'll work once I've made the Cutwork file and then the applique file. I think it'll fit the pattern nicely. So now I'm going to select the space bar, and I actually have my design. So I'm going to turn that into a Cutwork shape. And you'll notice now at the bottom of the toolbar, it went from paint to thread. And also I'm going to remove the fill using the none so I can read and see what it says. And it says cut 1 is shown, and then cut 2 as a mirror image. So now that I can see the design underneath it, I think maybe I'll go in and just add a node right there, and then pull that down a little bit around it. So I get a smoother line right here, hoping that it will make a difference when I add the running stitch. Visually, I wasn't pleased with it, which is what I often will do when I'm just playing around with a design. So now I'm going to click it, and I'm going to click running before with 1 millimeter rather, around it. Again, going down. See all the unevenness? I'm not happy with that. So this is where I start moving some things around. moving nodes. Oh my, look at those 2 arrows. So let's make this one going this way and this one going this way. See how it rounded out? That's the best part about this software. This software, I understand a lot of you have concerns, but it's not that hard once you start playing with it. I have a paper cutter software that is pretty challenging, and I'm trying to teach myself how to use the Silhouette software, which is totally different from my Pazzles. So it's a challenge, I get it. But every morning I sit and play with the software while my husband reads the news. And if it's anything important, he'll tell me. So I feel like I've read the paper myself. Alrighty, so this is not looking good. So what I probably will do here is add a node and see what happens. See that arrow right there? See how it messed it up? That's the best telling tale about, let's go see what's going on. Let's see what my arrow's doing. Oh, going the wrong way. So that's what it is. So now I can also, let's see if this will work. If I take and smooth that node, I right click and drop down, helps it, tends to smooth it out just a little bit. And let's see, you can always shorten them. That's another way I found. I could spend all day trying to make this look right, and I don't know if it's that important in the long run. So let's see, let's move this up a little bit. And when I move that up, you'll see the running stitch moves up as well. Now here's another area that really needs cleanup. So let me zoom in and see what the problem is. That one's sitting right there, and I'm going the wrong way. Let me go this way with this arrow, and this way with this arrow, and now let me move up and see if it won't smooth out, then I'll use my smooth node. There, it just smooths it out. I hope you're getting a better idea of how you can alter your designs once you turn them into Cutwork. I know that some of you are having concerns trying to learn the Cutwork, so that's why I've taken the time to make these videos. It's a lot easier to see it sometimes visually than to type it up and write it as a response on the Facebook page. The worst part for me, though, honestly, after I'm all done, is editing, because I'm not real familiar with the editing of this particular software. So I might have to find somebody to help me edit this software to make it a little bit smoother for you to follow along. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to almost give it up, because I can really fine-tune this until it's perfect, but then the video will be way too long. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to select the spacebar, and it grabs my file, and then I am going to duplicate it, mirror it. Now I have a birdie going the other way. Grab that, move it off, and it says in the directions here that I need 2 with a mirror image. So again, I could stack them, or I could just duplicate it, which is, I'll show you how to do that again. Just click the duplicate, and now I have 2. Let's move this out of the way, and now you can see how I created Cutwork files from the scanned image. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to select Save As and call this Birdie 2 _cut, and that's my draw file. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to set this up to make it a little bit easier to cut out the files. Until then, if you have any questions, just let me know.